Speaks Her Truth.
And I am Atlantis.
And we are your hosts for the Dark Room and Youth podcast, a safe space for Black women to educate ourselves, uplift each other through research, and share our experiences about working in corporate America. But before we get into all that, Atlantis and I are going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, and I'm going to go ahead and get us kicked off. So like I said earlier, I am Speaks Her Truth. I am a wife, a new mother, an activist, and an HBCU grad. And I just thoroughly believe that all Black women's experiences are valid and deserve to be heard. And I am just incredibly grateful to share this space with Atlantis, so that way we can give a platform to other Black women to share their experiences and for us to just educate them and educate ourselves on things that we've just accepted for way too long. So Atlantis, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to you.
Thank you. Like mentioned before, I'm Atlantis. I am single. I'm relatively young. I like to think of myself as young. And I am like going through the journey of like adulthood, right? Like, so I am single, as I mentioned before, but I do have a man. But I'm also in the process of buying my first home in a new city. I just started a new job working completely remote. So my life is a journey. And I guess one thing that I have to say is that I just believe that we should be able to live unapologetically and achieve any goal that we set. And I'm also about living whatever kind of lifestyle that you want to live, from if you want to, pick coconuts at the beach and that's what you want your life to be, or you want to jet set, right? I just think that we should live unapologetically lives. So that's a little about me.
Right.
So today we'll be sharing with you the reason why we started the podcast and what you can expect from us in our first season of Dark Room and Use.
Okay, so to do that, first we want to kind of just answer the question, why the Dark Room and Youth? So why did we title that? And so to answer this question, first you have to understand what happens in the dark room. So here's your history lesson. So a sheet of photographic paper is exposed to light coming through the negative. So when I say the negative, remember back in the day, those disposable cameras that had like the black or brown rolls in them? That's what I mean by the negative. So basically, a photographic paper is exposed to the light coming through the negative, resulting in a positive version of the image on paper. So like in dark rooms, we are using our lights to turn this negative into a positive by exposing the true picture of corporate America. And also, you know how they don't be letting a bunch of people in the dark room at once? Same principle here, sis. The room is for the experts only. And I mean Black women.
Black women preach.
Right.
So, Speaks Her Truth. Can you tell them why now? Like, why is this the time that we've chosen?
Sure. So I think we come from different perspectives on this one a bit, but for me, this past year has been one of serious reflection. So, I, like many of us, worked from home through the pandemic. And while in the midst of the pandemic, you think it would be easy to escape the many like microaggressions, the psychological warfare that happens in an office environment for Black women. It didn't happen for me. If anything, it only brought that negative space right into my home, which is like my safe space. So this year was really interesting for me when it came to separating my work life in the many ridiculous things that I deal with in my home, in my safe space. So it just felt like now was the time for me to do something to really kind of help other Black women who are facing the same issues that I'm facing. So how about you?
Yeah. So before I go into like the very clear why now, I'm gonna just circle back a bit, right? So Speaks Her Truth came to me with like she wanted to do a podcast, and it wasn't fully fleshed out to what it is today, but she and I have always had like these really in-depth, deep conversations throughout the years of like issues in the workplace and also just in like the general like Black community, right? But she and I come from like super different backgrounds, right? Like I think, she grew up also in the South, but not in like the typical South, with a larger family. And just like our backgrounds are super different. I grew up, I'm the only child. um I lived somewhat of a privileged life, right? So when we talk through like our or not issues, but like the things going on in the community, we agree at surface level. But then as you keep diving into that, we really start to like diverge into
The how.
like the how, and like different scenarios on ways to fix the current state, right? So I think when people are around us, right, I feel like they're always like listening, like an ear to the ground, when we kind of like go back and forth on like
Right.
different topics and stuff, right? So I guess the why now is that Speaks Her Truth came to me. She had a dope idea, and then we worked together to figure out what it was actually going to be in fruition or in today, right? So that's the ultimate why now. But on top of that, I also have started working from home. Speaks Her Truth mentioned that this year was a time of reflection. For me, this was a year of transition. As I mentioned earlier, I started a new job, which is 100% remote. I bought a house. I solidified my relationship. So things are just in flux for me a bit, but I still can't escape the mini aggressions or microaggressions. We can say micro, I think sometimes there's
Right.
aggressions, right? In the workplace. And as we solidified what this was going to be, I think it made sense that now is the time, because all of us are going through a similar situation. There's so many of us that are working from home. So many of my girlfriends are working from home, and there's just no real escape from work anymore. You used to go to work, come home, and leave work at work, but now there's work is home. So
Right. Even probably before we were going in, like before there was a work from home, we probably still needed this space, right? Like it's just, I feel like now it's just like the cherry on top. It's like, man, bump this mess. Like, what I'm saying? Like our patience levels are down, but I think we've always needed this space. So
agreed.
Atlantis, go ahead and share with them like what can they expect from us this podcast.
For sure. So I'll touch on a bit, and I'm also let you touch on it a bit because to make sure I don't miss anything.
All right.
Basically, what we're trying to do is we've formed history notes. The best way I can say it is we dug in researched data points on why is this happening to Black women, and why do certain things exist, right? So I feel like through our like due diligence of looking, we found that there's not a lot of articles, there's not a lot of journals out there on the subjects that we're trying to tackle, which is obvious. People don't typically do research on Black women, right? So the first part of our podcast is always going to be a history lesson on the why, give you some data points, give you some speaking points. The second part of the podcast is going to be real life data, like our friends, our network speaking to us about instances in which they've experienced whatever that topic is, right? Or their experiences within that topic.
Right.
So I'll let Speaks Her Truth kind of talk to what those topics are.
Right. So we're covering a variety of topics, and we really wanted to come out with straight punches, because we don't have time to be, you know, going round and round with topics that you probably hear about the most, right? So we wanted to just kind of go straight to the source of the issues that we're experiencing. So we started off with talking and really trying to understand the pay gap for Black women, and that really kind of started us on our journey to it's to kind of unlocking many other issues that we came across. So the second episode that we're going to discuss is the pay gap for Black women. The third episode is the concept of executive presence and how it impacts Black women. The third, right? Third episode is on code switching, and the fourth is the history of why there's a mistrust of HR within our community. And if all those things sounded a little bit like, what? How do those things flow together? I promise you, we're going to take you on this journey with us and show you how that tells the story of current state of what the Black woman experiences in corporate America. And let me be very clear. We understand that the Black experience is not a monolithic experience, which is why we did the roundtable discussions to make sure we share the whole story. But there are themes, man, and there are moments where it is just very clear that we as Black women do share common concerns and issues. And I mean, we kind of joked about microaggressions earlier. They feel more like macroaggressions, but there's a thread there. So
yeah.
I'm
gonna go off script a little bit, but
go ahead, girl.
Can we just kind of talk about like those roundtables and how great they were?
Y'all, listen. When I say great conversation after great conversation, it was beautiful.
It was like we had them on Wednesdays, and it was just so like a middle of the week pick me up to get off the phone with everyone and to hear all their stories, and also like the difference in perspectives on a lot of those things was crazy. Like I thought me and you diverged, but the spectrum of our experiences for Black women is crazy. I loved it. Right. But yeah, I can't wait to hear some of those ladies speak.
I want to go off script a little bit too. Can we talk about how therapeutic that was, and like how beautiful it was to just like talk to other Black women and just to be validated at your word, right?
Yes.
It was like, yes, it was just so like there were no like the whole conversations, like all the conversations were just like, I hear you, sis. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, I don't know, sis, that really happened. No. Right. Like that was not the vibe at all. It was just, it was so genuine and so accepting. I don't know. I'm just incredibly grateful for those roundtable discussions. Agreed. And the best part is a lot of those women who participated in those roundtable discussions are going to join us as guest speakers on the podcast. So you'll get to hear some of those roundtable discussions here in this podcast.
Yeah, a lot of dope women, a lot of amazing experiences that, again, aren't a monolith, but all deserve to be heard. It's an amazing time. It's an amazing time to be alive. No. Right. But yeah, those roundtables were great. Chef's kiss.
Right. All right, y'all. So this is just episode 1. We just wanted to give you a sneak peek of what's coming. We do got a little bit of a surprise for you guys. So we are doing a giveaway for episode 1. If you guys go ahead and follow us on Instagram at darkroom_N_use. If you like our post and tag a friend, you will have the opportunity to receive a free bottle of McBride wine of your choice that will come directly from us here at Dark Room and Use. we got to work on our sound effects over here.
We get a sound effects man soon.
Coming soon, y'all. But yeah, so we're very, very excited to be meeting with you guys. So hope you ladies grab your glass of wine because the Dark Room is officially in use.
And before we sign off, one last thing. All right. Our cadence is this episode will be dropping on June 19th. We want to make sure that you guys got this podcast. And then after that, they'll be dropping every other Thursday. So be on the lookout for those. Juneteenth is a Saturday, but after that, the following Thursday, expect that podcast. So Like Speaks Her Truth said, the dark room is officially in use.
Hey. See you, ladies.